What is up, guys? I am Wayne. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be covering the preview of Roma versus Frosinone in round 7 of the Serie A season. At the time of recording, Milan is leading Lazio 1-0 in the 90th minute. Looks like they're going to take it. Some other scores around the league. Napoli has beaten Lecce away from home. It's a big win for them. Honestly, they're in a tough spot right now. 4-0, 4 goals. We've got Salernitana Inter coming up tomorrow, along with the Roma game right before. But some of these goals for Napoli, Ostigard, Osimhen gets another goal, even all that controversy surrounding him. Gaetano, who is a player who is rated very highly by Spalletti, but didn't get a chance, young player there. But let's focus on the big topic, which is Roma has a lot of work to do going into this match. We know that the past few games haven't been nearly good enough. Not only individual errors, but also the response. And I was thinking prior to recording this that, it's one thing you could say Roma's plan A didn't work. And then these teams, these smaller teams, they get super compact, low block. They play really good defense and they're hard to get past. But in my opinion, the failure to respond is even worse than the individual error, because the failure to overcome that obstacle is the team's responsibility. Now we've got this issue. How does Roma overcome this? Mourinho spoke earlier today about, the press conference leading into this match. He had a lot of words. We're going to cover some of them, not each and every one of them. But I think the first thing that we should cover today is, what is Mourinho expecting? Is he looking at a 4-3-3? Is he going to go back to his bread and butter 3-5-2? I have a desire that Mourinho will go to the 4-3-3. And I think it will look like this. I hope it looks like this. Christensen and Dika, Mancini, the only center back pairing available. Zalewski on the left in place of Spinazzola, who looks, or I'm imagining, is going to be a little bit worn out at this point. Pellegrini, Cristante, and Paredes. I like that midfield. I think they can work well off of each other. I think there will be some chemistry there between the three of them. And then the front three, Dybala, Lukaku, El Shaarawy. So I think that this setup matches the players well. How else could I put it? It to me, it fits them. I think Roma will win this match, and Frosinone are doing pretty well. Di Francesco has been the manager, and they are playing a bit above and beyond what is usually expected of a team which is recently promoted, but they were the Serie B champions. They've got a couple interesting players here, and you could also expect a 4-3-3 out of them as well. Turati Oyono, Okoye Romagnoli, Marchizza. I believe Marchizza is former Roma man, as is Mazzatelli, Barandekea, Garitano, Sule, Chedira, who is owned by Napoli, and Casso. But Sule is an interesting player as well. We'll be highlighting him in one sec, but I want to share with my screen and show you. I like to use Sportmole. I think that they give pretty good previews, like when I'm just trying to get info and figure out what's going on in this match. So let's take a look here, and just gives you the rundown. Serie B champions. This is Roma's worst start to a campaign since the 90s. Worst points haul at this stage since the 90s. And we are 6 matches in, and we haven't seen, I don't think, the true Roma yet. I don't think we've seen the team that is really ready to be unlocked, the team that can play to their full potential. But here we see that Cristante will drop back, most likely, if it is going to be a 3-5-2. And let's look at that for a second here as well. We'll pull up that banner. So if that is the case, this is going to be your setup. Mancini, Cristante, and Dika will be your 3-man back line with Christensen. I want to see Karsdorp, but Christensen looks the most likely option here. Bove, Paredes, and Pellegrini, with Zalewski on the left and Dybala, Lukaku as the 2 main men. Now, speaking about Dybala, what I did not like against Genoa is how far he was dropping back. And Mourinho said in his press conference that we're going to get to that was not what he wanted from his team. He didn't want them to be he didn't want the attackers to be so isolated. But you see that Dybala responds into that situation. He's like, I'm not getting the ball. I don't know what I need to do in order to get it. So he drops out of his normal zone. But a little bit about Sule here. Youngest player to have both scored and provided an assist in Serie A this season. So he's a player definitely to keep our eye on. Comment here from Lorenzo Pellegrini, the captain, says there'll be a lot of pressure on Sunday because there's no alternatives. The only difficult way to get out of this moment is to work, and we need to see that from him. I don't think that his game against Genoa was the worst that we've seen, but it wasn't enough. And you could say that for almost every single player. Actually, I thought Cristante had a decent game, and he's been one of the, I think, guys who's pulled his weight and a little bit more this season so far. One stat, interestingly enough, is the last time Roma played Frosinone, they won, and Di Francesco was the manager. So that was a pretty good one. As we go on here, though, we could see that the last time, oh yeah, Juve loanee. I didn't realize this. Sule is Juventus loanee. Ugh, yikes. That last Thursday, Frosinone went level with Fiorentina. 1-1 was the final score there. And as you look at their Serie A form, they've got a draw, 2 draws, a win. So their last 4 is 3 draws plus a win. And when they played Napoli at the start of the season, that was their worst game. But they were really exposed, but they've gotten a lot better since then. And now it's definitely time to take a look at some of these quotes from Mourinho for today. And I'm going to pull that up real quick. And you can go on my Twitter as well if you want to check that out. And I've got the full text there, the full transcription. It's transcribed. Anyway, yeah, you could check it out. But we're going to check out a little bit of it right now as soon as I can share my screen. And there we go. Okay, cool. So he's asked how should the team restart, and he talks about Cristante and how he might be forced to play him at defense. And he says, I'm already pegged back down. He says it's going to be twice as difficult because we've got that extra pressure. We got to play with courage. His contract expires in 2024. He's asked, would you sign the renewal today? And he says it's too abstract. Like he's not going to answer. There's too many variables at play. But tomorrow I'll be there, me with my players, together as always, to take responsibility for what can happen during and after the match. The only thing we think about is winning tomorrow because we need it. The one thing that he mentions here, without going word for word, is that now there's a lot of negativity around Mourinho, deserved or undeserved, whatever your perspective is, or whether it's 100% him or not him at all, or that he's a piece of the pie of why Roma's getting these results. But one thing he mentioned is that everyone was begging him to stay after the Europa League final. And he was like, Mourinho, and he's right. And now all of a sudden when things aren't going right, he's suddenly the villain. And I could see his point of view there. I'm not saying that he shouldn't take accountability for Roma's losses, but I do see where he's coming from. Okay. This is quite a long question from the reporter. It says, Cristante is Roma's best player. We also saw him in a different position due to Sanchez's injury. He scored 2 goals and 3 assists, while in other season he was in front of the defense, and the defensive phase benefited from it. Will you place him tomorrow and in the next matches in front of the defense as a midfielder or as a center back in the 3-man line? We're going to go over this one word for word here because I think it's important to understand some of the personnel decisions that Mourinho is going to make for this match. He says, when we scored a goal and the team seemed to be developing in one direction, he means like moving, like they started to really control the match and were making scoring opportunities. He says, we were then forced to make a change with Cristante, who is the player who gives us the most. He has had a fantastic evolution on a technical and tactical level. He is not a genius with the ball, but he is smarter and faster. He is fundamental for us. When he went on, the defense got worse. To play with 4, when he went on defense, we got worse. Sorry, correction. To play with 4 at the back, we will need Joao Costa as a starter, and he will be called up. However, I won't tell you if he will play 4-man at the back. Dybala cannot play on the right in a 4-man system. Say that Dybala looked tired on the pitch playing on the inside of the pitch. Imagine if he played on the outside. I shouldn't even talk about this with you. Tomorrow there is a difficult match with extra pressure, and we have to play it to our full potential. I expect more from the players and from myself because I am very demanding of myself, but I also expect it from them. We train on defensive dead balls. I never told the attacking players to move back and leave Lukaku isolated. I expect more from them and from myself. Sometimes you hear more or less from the players, but these guys are my friends. We are a good group, and there is more than just working empathy. There is empathy between us, and this is a basis that is priceless, especially in these moments here. The story that the coach is only in difficult moments for me is not true because I have them. So he does, to a degree, take some accountability here and say, look, I understand that I have to be better, that we have to do better, the team as a whole, and I'm part of the team. I like seeing it. He says, I like being alone, hiding my thoughts and my analysis. I like to isolate myself, but with these players, I have never felt alone, but I expect more. I want to see the same things we prepare on the pitch, a different hunger and desire. Now people will grow faster if we show them that it's us. He's saying people will get over it and they'll cool off a little bit and they'll start to understand that teams do go through tough moments. And I'm hoping that this is the case. I'm hoping Roma does, of course, get a win. Some people go fully against Mourinho. Some people go for. Me, I'm for Roma. I want to see what's best for the club at all times. I want to see Mourinho figure it out, the players figure it out, because that's what's best for Roma. That's my hope and my prayer for this game. He continues this this reply here. Says defensively, Indica is not up to the level of Ibanez. He's not a warrior or a gladiator, but he's much better with the ball. He'll get there if we show him how it's done. We had 7 corners in our favor against Genoa, but we never attacked the ball. We definitely have to improve. I expect more from the players, and it's easier to say this when there is friendship. So what I think he's implying is that he needs Indica to score a goal or two to get under his feet and to feel a little bit more comfortable, because that was Indica's MO back in Germany. He scored a handful of goals. I think he was tied for the center back with the most goals over the past 5 seasons. So that is the threat that needs to be there. They need to attack the ball in the box. He then answers a question regarding that third-year curse. He says, no, it's not a curse at all. Those who have something more to know how to give something more. I imagine that you know how to bring something out of yourself without listening to others. Let's read the last one here, and I'm going to keep this shared to your screen also if you just want to look at it as I'm going under what's below. And he ends this press interview by saying, yesterday I told the players that I had some questions and I would also answer them. If I had any answers, they should have told me. I asked up to 10 questions and no one ever told me I was wrong. I responded as they would have done because I know them very well and I didn't want to hear any opinions. So that to me cuts off this idea that there is a fissure in the locker room. It tells me that the players are behind the manager, that they are working as a unit. There's no division. There's no like jealousy or, let's say the captain has disagreed with Mourinho's role, tactics, ideas. Doesn't seem to be any of that. So now the most important thing is, as Jose said, is to go and work, figure it out. That's all we need. Just need 3 points, get it done. Guys, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you're new here. Let me know how you feel, and we will be back streaming live right after the match, okay? As soon as that clock dwindles down and you hear that final whistle. I'll see you then. Ciao, ciao.